So this is next painting. I am going to paint a picture that I took. Always love this picture. They were perfectly balanced, just like, you know, it's almost like you made it up as an artist is what you look for. So we're going to paint that, some nice vibrant colors. What I'm going to choose to do this time, which gosh, I don't know if I've ever done this. I think I've said that a couple times. But I'm going to paint, I think I'm going to paint all of it and not pretend they're not even there. And then once I get that paint done, and I get a pretty good estimation of saturation and everything in the water, then I will sketch them in and then paint them, see how that works. Probably not going to help me much, but normally I would not do that, but there's so much of the water and I'm going to have to paint back and forth against them that we'll see how this goes. So what I've done is I've just put white in water and making just estimations of where the wave would be, trying to cut this kind of in half, just maybe about that line I would assume. And the water is bluer. It is bluer, more saturated than the sky. The microphone just died. I hope you guys can still hear me. Chase is in the other room riding his stationary bike watching TV, so you may hear that. That's why I had my mic on, but the battery just died, so we're just gonna go with it. I apologize. That's pretty close. Let's go a little bluer. Maybe just a touch of yellow, just a touch. See how that reads. Got to step back, step back, step back. Trying to get some of that out of my brush so we can soften that horizon a little bit. Always paint on the back of your hand, that helps. Looks like it greens a little bit as it comes forward. Just quick little reads here as I glance over there. And what I'll probably do is not finish this in one sitting. I will let this dry a smidge. Because I want to get some of that vibrance I see up there, and I'm not getting it first stab, which no surprise, no surprise. So as it comes forward, it lightens some, but it also has a little bit of sand looky in it. So as we bring this forward, let's see if we can kind of mimic that, not go overboard. Value's close. That's about all I can hope to get at the moment. Sure, I'm getting all the canvas covered. Easy to not do it at this point. So as I step back, it's tough to look in the back of my phone and then switch and look here. I see some things I need to change. The horizon, I need to do several things, but right now is not the time to paint into this. It's thin, it's going to dry pretty quick, and I will be picking paint up pretty quickly. So I'm best off, I think, at this point, let this dry, and then I can go over it and hit some waves and stuff. So we'll see. All right, so this is dried. We're going to just do some very faint layers, because we don't have to modify it a lot, but we definitely need to put some paint down, because there's quite a bit of the canvas showing through here. We didn't get that paint applied awesomely. So I am going to go a little bit bluer, and I've got quite a bit, I've got too much actually water in my brush, so I'm trying to get some of that out. Because I want these bigger brushes, it's so easy to clean them out in the water and wipe them out a little bit, and you just don't get enough water out of them. So I am going to try to get this a little thicker. There's a hair right there, and you notice when you get a hair or anything, you hit it at an angle and take it back out of there. So this is not much different here than the water, but I'm going to try to get this a little. I just picked up more white in a dirty brush. Before I know it, I'm going to paint all over that. You know that's coming. And again, this isn't the only time we got at this, right? Because there's nothing I'm going to be painting over the sky, so I can, if I don't like how that looks, then I can, once that dries, go right back over that. We want to try to match this color, and as I look in the back of the phone, I'm assuming what you're seeing relative to what I see, it's a little seafoam greener, and I kind of like that actually. It's me likey. So let's see. Not nearly light enough. So let's take white. Let's take some white. Some more blue. We may struggle to get this actually. We may struggle, because it's muting pretty bad in my palette here. Yeah, I might have to just clean that out. I may even have to switch brushes so I polluted this one so bad. All right. Let's see how this does. This is going to be too dark, I know. Just want to see how this works. Trying to soften that. When that dries, we'll put some more that will brighten that a smidge. So I'm going to call this break here in the middle. We're going to call that. So I'm going to just take some white. It doesn't have to be measured necessarily. I'm going to call that the middle. You know, so look, I got this big old brush. Doesn't really matter. It's just waves breaking, and they break funky. A little more over here. I mean, really, you put this down and then you put a little dark spot underneath it where it's breaking over, and it's a wave. It'll just read as a wave. Little places you clump it up. So just about, let's look at the district. If that's right, I may have that a little low, but that's okay. I'm going to guess it's about that far up between those two for that. And again, we may paint over all this again. It's all good. We got acrylics. We can do whatever we want to do here. So she'll go somewhere in there. And then that white wave breaks, and there's just some little tickles. Little tickles out in here where that wave is. Close. There's a little break right here. We don't have to have all this in here. I want that to dry because I'm going to end up screwing up here in a second. But that kind of comes across. And that's about it. There's a lot of break out in here, right? Yeah. So this is the kind of stuff that you just got to be patient on. Because once I get this, when I'm happy, and I'm not going to stop until I'm happy, I'm not going to stop with this until this reads like that, and I know it's not. I've got it darker, it's more muted here. But I need to let it dry. I know this is humped a smidge. I'm going to just have to let it dry each time, because right now, it's so thin and spread out, if I go in there and work and try to correct or put more paint on there, I'm going to pick paint up. So it is going to be little steps like this in between us getting that water. I really want that water to read like that, and we're going to have to just it's kind of work. This is the tough thing, I think, is that this again has light coming through it, so it's real easy. It's almost like a watercolor. Here I don't have that option, so I'm going to just have to continue, put a dark down, and then try to put lights over it. A little maybe more blue, and we'll see how that goes. So got the canvas covered. I obviously need to go lighter here, but not quite as light as I first thought when I painted it. I thought I really screwed up, and not that we can't fix it, of course, but I thought it was going to dry darker, quite a bit darker, and it did not. And it doesn't bother me normally when I'm doing the underpainting. I don't want to, I'm obviously not trying to miss, judging things accurately, values and colors. But I do want to cover the canvas, and it's, everybody that paints, I guess, that sometimes this will happen where we put down light washes and we don't cover it well. I mean, I like to have paint on my canvas, so I'm okay when I hate to say it, but when I screw up, because it's going to make me put more paint. That's just the way I paint. Could I do this in real thin washes like a watercolor? Well, sure I could. But if you're going to use, in my opinion, if you're going to use watercolors, or if you're going to use a watercolor kind of technique, then you need to do it on paper, watercolor paper, because it doesn't have this tooth. Or I guess you could do it on a make your own boards. A lot of people do that, which is pretty cool. You take MDF or types of plywood. Now I don't want this to be so light that it is not. I don't want it that bright, and that's an interesting way to kind of look at this, is to make a decision based on what's already on my canvas. And it's honestly, it's not, we don't have to get this perfect. Our brain's gonna figure this out, right? Our brain will know that this is water. There's right above this, there's a nice flatter area as that wave's rolling over. Might as well put it in now. Make it read a little bit better. Same here. There's some little touches of highlights that'll go in at the end. But all I'm really trying to do right now is, I know it's a very faint bluish color, and I just want to make sure, because I can always keep going over it with lighter values. Once, and I think you've probably seen, in just the few paintings I've done so far, it's hard to judge until you get the main figures in there, what it's going to look like, how much effort do you want to put in there. I mean, I want this to look good. I don't want to use it as an excuse to paint poorly, but I do want to make this a brilliant effect of light, which means I'll continue to push these little darker spots and the lighter spots. I'm just trying to find a base value for all this up here, and then I always reserve the ability to go darker and lighter. That's just, again, the way I paint. I don't ever want to put, a lot of artists don't do that. A lot of artists, and I get it, they will put their darkest dark and their lightest light, and they'll try to find one little spot in the painting that is the darkest, the darkest spot, and then put the lightest light, so then you can gauge everything else off of those. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know why. I normally paint in the average value, if you will. Now something like this would be a little bit different. There's no reason for me to paint what I would consider an average value on them, because it's either bright or reflected light. Basically the shadow at our backs, right? The sun's out this way. So this is kind of tough to read. There's basically, the way I look at it, there's some warmer, call them tan, which is kind of what I've got going on here. There's some warmer areas, and then there's cooler areas. If I close my eyes, they're almost the same value. I would say the tanner, warmer areas are maybe just a smidge lighter. But all in all, this is a nice, the main thing is not, this could be the same value as those lights. It's a bigger sheen, it's a bigger stroke, it's not as broken. So again, it's absolutely critical that I get these absolutely accurate the way I'm seeing them. Not really. The main thing is that I go from here to there, and I'm just making estimations. I'm going to guess this, and I may have it a little low, I don't know. I may bring this up a little bit. That's kind of in the middle. So I want to make sure that I get that all the way across, because that's the whole reason we're painting this. And again, this is rare for me. I don't normally do this. But we're painting this knowing that those figures are going to go over it, right? So I don't have to paint up to them. I mean, we'll have to do some of that anyway. It's not like I'm going to escape it. but you know, again, I've been painting as a hobby. It's not like I paint all the time. I've gone many months, maybe even a year or two, and not painted at all. But I've been painting long enough that you wouldn't think I would have challenges or have to experiment, but that obviously is not true. This is I mean, the whole reason I do this is it's challenging. It's why, you know, why do we play golf? It's challenging. Why would anybody go out and hit golf balls over in the woods, throw your club, and then the next day, hey, let's do it again? That's kind of insane, actually, but it's challenging. If it was easy, if every single time you hit a ball, it went in the hole in one every hole, oh, that'd be cool for a little while. You'd make some money, I guess, but after a while, it would. When it's not challenging, it's like it's like people that do crossword puzzles. If it was an easy crossword puzzle, nobody wants that, right? You want it to be hard. Doable, but hard. We are some weird creatures. We really are. It's crazy. We're crazy. I'm just continuing to push a little bit brighter and a little bit brighter. Some of this, you know, you've always got the choice. Do I let this dry? Because, you know, I'm right now trying to put down something lighter, but I'm mixing with the paint that's under it, right? Which is tough. That, it's better. Again, in the back of my phone, as I'm looking, I guess, at what y'all are looking at, this is much more seafoam greeny than what I'm looking at on this surface. Again, I just wanted to make sure nobody's going to look at this, but one of the things I love about this picture I took, besides the composition and the kids, and I mean, they're perfect, almost like I made it up, but I promise I didn't. I want this effect of the light, and I'll say that on every painting. There's an effect of light for a lot of the scenes that I'm drawn to. That's the whole reason that I took the picture. It's, you know, obviously my kids, but, you know, when I took these pictures, I knew there's a reason that every day we, you know, we're together, we're going on vacation, I'm behind them I'm taking 200 pictures every time we do something, and it's because I appreciate capturing the moment. But let's be honest, I did it selfishly because I knew one of these days I would be wanting to paint these. And I'm glad I captured them because, you know, sadly, a lot of these moments are gone. And I'm very lucky, I say it all the time. My kids, I still see them all the time. Some of them daily. We'll rarely ever go a week or two and not get together and go out and eat. And they all live within an hour of here. So we do things, it's just changed a little, right? They don't need us anymore. Makes me sad. What the heck is going on here? Oh, holy mackerel. That's for another painting. Just playing around here. Just basically seeing how this stuff will work. Again, I don't want this to be, I mean, it's bright. And I put down probably a little too much. This is about, I guess, I'm going to have to make sure that I'm getting them correct. About in the same area. It doesn't necessarily matter. I'm thinking that comes up a little, but again, it doesn't matter. For the whole grand scheme of things, nobody's really going to look at this again and go, "Oh, John, you suck. You did this wrong." Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Now there's a color. This is the last thing that I'll do for the moment, and then we'll let her dry and do another session. But there is a color again, there's a couple of colors that I use. Robert Hagen, one of my favorite artists, calls them kick-along colors. And basically, I use those three and burnt sienna, and that's it. 99 point something percent of my painting is done with those colors. But there are colors, and I'm going to get them right here. I'm going to get the colors that I use. And again, I'm not a color guy. I mean, color's important, don't get me wrong. But you know, a seasoned artist can take anything. Take at least the 3 primaries, or 20 paints or 5 paints or whatever, and they'll paint with it successfully. So I went ahead. Here we go. Professional. I got a stupid grade. Nonetheless. So, though, and I could use these in this painting, I guess. That'd be a little dangerous. For the most part, I use the paints I'm going to show you right out of the tube, which again, I don't do any of the other stuff with. These are different. One is brighter, but it's translucent. One is not quite as bright, but it's opaque. And sometimes, you know, when you take a green, when you mix a green with yellow and blue in your palette, and you put white in it to make it brighter, it also kills the chroma. It kills the vibrance. So a lot of the times when I'm doing foliage, and just 4 or 5 little touches. I don't ever take these and put them all over the painting. It's that just the most brilliant, sharp highlight. I will use these out of the tube. Mostly this one, actually. This is, even though it says translucent, this holds up pretty well to put it on pure. But I mean, I might as well squirt this on a knife and just go boink. So there's those two. I used to use this purple, which is a beautiful purple, but I don't really do that anymore. There's the alizarin crimson, which we talked about before. The only thing I used to use it a lot because 95% of the artists that I would follow would have this in their palette. They mix skin tones and things with it. I've just found my own way, and I don't use it that much. The only thing I use this for is a little spot in an eyeball, just because it's extremely transparent. And the other one I use rarely is raw umber. And in water, especially like in the creek. Now, I didn't use this in the Elkhorn Skipping Rocks painting, but usually I will use this just in a few spots. It is transparent, and it's a greenish, doesn't look like it, right? Doesn't look like it, but it's a greenish transparent color. So I may, right here, right there, could I do that with burnt sienna? Yes, and I might. I'm going to put a little bit of this out off to the side, and I'm going to try to mix that color with raw umber, which is a cool earth tone. So comparatively, if I had burnt sienna and raw umbers, really, I use burnt sienna. A lot of people will use like a raw sienna. There's also burnt umber instead of raw umber. One's darker, one's lighter. Things to play around with. I digress. So let's see if this mixes. Is this gonna mix? It's close, right? It's close. Could I have done that with the other paints in here? Yeah, probably so. It's a little greener. It's a little greener, right? That's a tough one right there, isn't it? So let's do this thing. Let's try to get the value in the color. Probably going to end up a little dark. That's pretty at least wet, it's pretty close to the effect. Maybe a little bold. We may have to go over that, right? So there's about like right in here, there's some of that, right? That's pretty dead burn. Overpowering, isn't it? We'll probably have to kill that a little. I say probably, definitely. I'm going to have to kill that some. But there's little spots that we'll put it right, like right there, right? And I'm just using the tip of my brush. Right? Is that the right color? I don't know. Won't know till it dries. But it's definitely close. And what it'll do, and again, you know me, I'm like, well, put it down wrong and then paint back over it. And to me, that's where my buildup of paint happens. That's why my stuff looks more like oil. But obviously here, I'll be taking a darker, cool color, working up into that, so covering most of that with just little tickle slices. Just a hint of this color, probably 5 or 10% of that will be left same here. But I just want to put that down, so let it dry, come back to it. We'll lighten this some more, layers, layers, layers. When we're happy with this, we're going to put them in. This should not be a 5-hour painting, but we're going to find out.